Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money, with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 767 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Avi Wolfson, and he is very passionate. He's got a lot of stuff going for himself. I'll tell you about his full intro in a minute, but we're going to talk about parenting, and he's making a business called the All-Star Parent, and where you can get started for free. So we'll tell you about all that in a minute, and a bunch of other stuff about him. Hope you didn't miss episode 766. Now listen to this. This is actually who I had on, his real name. His real name is Lance Psycho. And it's spelled C-A-Y-K-O, but it's pronounced Psycho. I don't know how he made it through school with taking crap over that. But anyway, he's an architect, and he used really cool guerrilla marketing techniques to get tons of free publicity to kick his business off. So that was episode 766. Anytime you want to listen to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number, that was 766. And if you want to concentrate on our training episodes, we have about 400 of them. You go to screwthecommute.com/training. And of course, follow me on TikTok at Digital Multimillionaire and grab a copy of our automation ebook. You will thank me for it because it'll save you hundreds and hundreds of hours into the future if you implement even part of what's in that book. It's pick up your copy of that at screwthecommute.com/automate free. All right, let's get to the main event. Avi Wolfson leverages a career as a licensed realtor, professional salesperson, three-time, I got to get into this, axe-throwing champion, and best-selling author to help audience as a professional speaker. Wolfson is an expert in resilience, entrepreneurship, and self-discovery, and he inspires others with his story of overcoming childhood trauma and mental health challenges and finding balance. And Avi, are you ready to screw?
I am ready.
The
Tom.
commute.
Let's do it.
All right. Good to meet you, man.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me as a guest. I'm super excited.
No problem. Yeah. One thing that we have in common, and I don't know, you're not that old, not half as old as me probably, but for years and years and years, I had been teasing that I'll bet diamonds were invented by diamond salesmen. And then I heard you on a podcast recently talk, and then I found out De Beers Company was behind all of this. And it's one of the biggest marketing ploys in history. So we have that in common.
That's so funny.
So we're going to talk about parenting, but I'm totally interested in this axe throwing stuff. Are you one-hander or two-hander?
I'm a one-hander with the hatchet, and with the big axe, I'm a two-hander.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a difference. Tell us about that. What's the difference?
So I don't know the exact length, but the hatchet obviously is a much shorter axe, and the big axe is much longer and also heavier. So
is it different distances?
Yeah. So with I forget the exact distances, but you closer to the board with the hatchet, and then you have to stand behind a line that's about a foot or two back from the throwing the hatchet. So it's further back for the big axe. It needs to have more take more time to rotate and hit the board. So yeah, there's a difference, but there are lines that you
same target.
Yeah, same target.
Like they're still doing these in. They have places to do this, almost like bars, I guess, right?
Yeah. There's a few different ones. There's Urban Axes. There's Revolution. Well, that in my state, anyways. Urban Axes is very popular. That's the league that I've been a part of, that I've done in the past. And I won a few championships, which is pretty cool.
But are they drinking while they're doing this? Is it a bar
absolutely.
Atmosphere? So people are drinking and throwing axes.
Yeah, in order to stay sharp and focused, you're encouraged to drink plenty of alcohol. They're very sharp too. But yeah, so far I haven't lost any limbs or fingers or anything. So, I'm on a good streak here. So
yeah. So these axes are sharper than an axe to chop wood, because you don't want them have to throw them really hard to stick.
Exactly. You want to keep them sharp, and it's cool because I didn't know anything about axes, and it's like a hobby, and you learn how to sharpen it with the stone, and
So
there's
do you
so much.
have your own axe or
Oh,
hatchet?
absolutely, yeah. I
Oh,
mean,
so it's like pool cues, custom.
yeah, I would have
Yeah.
never like learned how to, that I didn't know until I started doing this, that the term getting the hang of it comes from hanging an axe. That's how
Oh,
you put it together. I don't know if you knew that, but I learned that.
no.
I was like, that blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's where that term comes from. Uh,
Wow. Yeah. So you have do you only have one, or a lot of people have
Oh no,
multiple pool
I've got a
cues?
couple different ones. It becomes a hobby, and then I put my own together, and you can treat the wood. I learned all about linseed oil,
Jeez.
tung oil, all these things about wood and treating it and protecting it. Because they take a bashing. When you miss the target and it lands, it falls hard. So that can result in broken axes. And
Do you sharpen them in the middle of a tournament?
yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah, I bring my
Yeah.
stone, and then some honing oil. And I just, yeah, if it's like the playoffs or the tournament, which they do
The
towards the end,
playoffs.
I'll be sharpening it because I don't want it to stick and fall. That's
See, I always see the weird side of things. I'm thinking, okay, these are the playoffs, so I
mhm,
got this axe in my hand.
mhm.
If I axe the guy that's against me, then I win by default.
That's one way to do it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just like that crazy Olympic sport where they're skiing and shooting. You
yeah.
know, that's like, all right, I'm going to come out of the woods with less bullets, but nobody will be
Yeah, well, it's fascinating what's become like a real sport. Like only recently, skateboarding is now in the Olympics, and they've even got parkour where people are
Yeah, I know
running.
that. Is axe throwing in the Olympics too?
It's on. I know it's on ESPN. I don't know if it's in the Olympics yet,
Oh,
but
okay.
I think with some time, it's pretty popular. So and
Now you people chase you down the street for your autograph. I'll bet.
it's not a bad problem to have, right? It's a good problem, I would say. Um, but yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. I'd encourage anybody to try it out. The first time I did it, it was the most bizarre thing, throwing a tool.
Right.
Because you associate with the tool, and tools aren't something we're taught to throw,
Right.
or to be careful with it and have hold it gently.
Exactly.
But with this, you just chuck it at a board, and it's the most bizarre thing. And then the next thing, though, after doing it a few times, it's just nature. It's just
How
natural.
long does it take to get the hang of it?
It varies.
How many rotations?
What's that?
How many rotations? Like I know with knife throwing, you either have a half a rotation, a
Yeah,
full,
I
or
think
one
it.
and a half
I
is the
think
most.
I think the hatch it's two
Two?
rotate. Yeah, so I don't know exactly, to be honest, but that's why where you stand
Hmm.
and how you throw it, all these things factor in.
The more
So
consistent you are with where you stand, where you hold the axe, and everything, I
yeah,
guess
it,
it's
it
just like anything.
yeah, it absolutely makes a difference, and it just takes a lot of practice to being consistent, stepping in the same place, making this moving your using your other foot to step consistently the same distance, throwing it just as hard to really get good at it. So it just takes time. It took a while for me. I barely made the playoffs that first season, and then but yeah, there are people that are way better than me, and I realized like pretty quickly, like not that I don't believe I couldn't go really far, but it's just something it's not going to be a life mission for me. But it's still fun. I enjoy
Well,
it.
the thing is, wait till Rolex comes around to sponsor you and everything.
Yeah, I
Are
mean,
there really super high levels where people get sponsored and
oh
stuff?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are people that are just like insanely
Do
just
people work out for this to make sure they're in shape for this?
yeah, I bet.
That means they drink a lot more.
Drink a lot more, maybe press some axes. um, yeah.
So that's very cool. You're the first X thrower champ that we've had on the show.
All
So
right.
probably the last, but at least the first.
Yeah.
So did any now? I joke around a lot, but
Yeah.
in your bio it says childhood trauma.
Yeah.
I mean, did any of this axe throwing come out of that? You're gonna get like,
Interesting. So absolutely not. Nothing to do with that. Um, that was more
so
of
you're not Freddy Krueger in disguise, right?
no,
I don't know if he
no.
had an
It,
axe
it
or what.
that was just like that was just a fun hobby, and it was actually quite. It's been quite therapeutic for me. When I throw axes, it just takes me into like a different different world where I
It's
can
like
just like,
different, like people. I had somebody on last week said the fishing did that for them.
yeah, yeah.
So,
And right, isn't that interesting? Like for some people it's fishing,
hey,
some
how
people it's
about axe fishing?
access. The closest thing I've seen to that are people on YouTube using bow and arrows to catch
Yeah,
fish,
they
which
have.
is, you've
Yeah,
seen
I'm
that, right?
saying it. Archery, absolutely. So once you tie something on, well,
Mm.
it would have to spin though.
That,
If
yeah, I
you
feel like that would
tied
be
something on
really
the end, it
tough.
wouldn't spin. But I don't know. Axe, you could be the first axe fisherman and throw the playoffs, and you automatically win.
All right, I'll take it.
So,
Yes.
so I'm all about overcoming challenges, and
Mhm.
everybody has them, no matter how silver spoon they appear on the surface.
Yeah,
Uh, everybody's gone through something or other. So
yeah,
tell us your story.
yeah. So my story was, I I grew up with a family, and there were a lot of challenges. There were things about myself I didn't know. I didn't get diagnosed later, and when I reached adulthood, with a bipolar disorder and major depressive disorder. And so for a long time, I didn't understand these things. My family didn't believe in mental health, so I
Hmm.
kind of just like thought there was just something wrong with me, um, until I had a doctor actually explain to me like how these things affect me and how why I overthink. And
What age?
I was 20 years old, I believe.
20 years old before
Yeah.
you understood what was going on.
Yeah, yeah. It was, yeah, I was this was like after high school, and I actually met with the doctor and they explained to me all these things, and then I got it treated, and that set me on a path to turning things around.
Were your parents still alive at this time?
They are, and I'm not close with them.
Okay, yeah, I know that. I know that story. I mean,
Yeah,
I was estranged from my mother for a long time,
yeah.
um,
So
but did they know that you got things turned around?
they just don't get it. They just
They
don't
just
get
don't
me.
get it,
And
right? I get it.
they have the most bizarre relationship, and they're just like not good for each other. And there were just things I saw that were just not healthy things in a relationship. And those things I saw and have taken me time to rewire and to see what healthy things are, because right, so much of what we learn in our childhood stays with us because these are, our parents are our role models, and we see what they do, and it's, monkey see monkey do. So but when it's wrong, we may not realize that until later on and have to work on these things that we aren't maybe even consciously thinking about. It's just something that we do because that's how we saw how
Hmm.
things were growing up, and so we just assume it's normal behavior. But for me, I had I got help, and really turned things around. And the way that I really dealt with it, Tom, is getting into self-publishing. And
Hmm.
I didn't know that that was going to be the thing that was therapeutic for me, but it was, and it was actually from one of my mentors.
Oh,
And
listen, look, Avi, it's always been either self-publishing or
mhm.
axe throwing for people.
they're
That's
both
it.
they're hey, they've
Yeah,
both been great for me, and
yeah.
and they've both been therapeutic for me. But the self-publishing is really, and that was that was an interesting thing too, because I wrote under a pen name. I wanted to keep business and personal stuff separate. I'm not here to
Mhm.
bash my family. I'm not. That's not who I want to be. I just want to keep it separate. So and that allowed me to own my past and set a positive path forward for families whereas I felt very lost and trapped, and I wanted to
Well,
give other families direction.
I can only assume that this thing you're doing with the all-star parent came
Mhm.
from this, right?
It was interesting. So that also did not. That actually came from an idea from a business partner, who was he brought up that idea. That wasn't my idea
Well,
initially.
really, but
Yeah,
it would seem that it would, since you just wanted to turn around and do good in the world,
yeah. I
and
think
not
he
what you
saw that.
saw as a child.
Yeah, he had saw, and he actually gave me like consulting advice for the self-publishing when I was growing that, and still growing it. But he saw that I was doing that, and he thought that that would be a good opportunity to do this newsletter, and that to me instantly really captured my interest, and I was like, yeah, let's do this. So um, I don't know if we're going to talk about that now, but
Yeah, go ahead and tell them about the Substack and the
yeah,
All-Star
so
Parent.
All Star Parent is a Substack newsletter that is free for anybody to subscribe to, and we put out all of the best uh, parenting information from all types of parenting advice that any parent or soon to be parent could need. And this really stemmed out of our frustration. The three founders, including myself, we were very frustrated with all the noise and like abundance of information. Should I listen to this? Should I do positive parenting? Should I do gentle parenting? What kind of parenting should I do? So we were all very frustrated, and that's where the necessity and solution from that came from. So we take all of the highest authority parenting figures in the parenting industry, and we take all the best podcasts and we summarize them into just a 5 minute read, giving you all the meat and potatoes and the stuff that you want to get to for parents that are busy and strapped for time, which when we have kids, we have very limited time, right? So we don't have like days to just listen through hour-long podcasts, right? So we break that down into just 5 minutes and give you the exact information you need from the most reliable sources. And we've gotten great feedback. This is something that's extremely helpful to parents. We are continuing to grow it, and it's called All Star Parent. You can subscribe to it at allstarparent.substack.com. It's an amazing resource for parents, extremely valuable. It's been valuable to all of us. We've gotten very high praise, and also from the parenting figures that we cover as well.
All right. So, I'm not a parent, but I have actually done a thing called the Antion Success Principle, and I totally ragged on parents. But as a reporter, I said, okay, I don't know what it's like to go through what you go through raising children, but I do know what I see coming to me to apply for jobs, and it's pitiful. and so I did this, and the phone is ringing off the hook, and the assistants are there, and I'm thinking, oh man, people are going to really tear me up for talking like this. And it was all grandparents and parents saying, I need a copy of that we're going to send it to our grandchildren or to our kids, because the grandchildren are growing up nutcases. And so what I heard you say though is reliable sources. Who says they're reliable? What's the vetting process for this?
Yeah, so the ones we look at are really the ones that have like the top, like this is just one metric, but like the ones that have like the top best-selling books on Amazon that are in the parenting space. We go for them. Like these parenting figures, they're like the most notable, the ones that everybody knows. And they have the best, book sales. I mean, these are the top figures that people trust. But even with that, there's still a ton of information, right? So if you need to figure out like nutrition or what to do with your teen or tween, how to manage different complicated situations, it can be frustrating trying to find an answer that you need right away, and that's the value add of what All Star Parent provides. It gives you the quick answer. You can just very quickly look through our newsletters we put out and find the answer and the solution to your problem.
Okay, so here we go, Avi. I don't know how well you know me, but I had a practical joke company where we custom designed practical jokes. We did 4,000 of them in and around Washington, D.C. And the reason I bring that up is because I knew how to manipulate people's minds to pull these jokes. And luckily, I was doing it for fun, for, birthdays and things, and good-natured, because the same techniques can be used for bad. And so when you say that you're going on the best-selling this and that, I'm very skeptical of that, because some of the loudest, craziest voices on this earth are the craziest idiots. And they just get a lot of press. And people virtue signaling and buying their stuff because they want to act like they're good people.
Sure.
But I'd be afraid to show a lot of this stuff to the kids. And for instance, I'm going to have to put you on the spot. What about the parents that are sending their kids or taking their kids to drag shows when they're little kids? You all for that? Is that a good idea?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I try to stay away from politics.
But you just said that that this is supposed to be reliable sources. Would those people that promote that be on your site?
So this is where the subjectiveness comes in, Tom, right? Because if you were to parent, you already have your set ideas based on your core values and morals, and you're going to raise your hypothetically, you would raise your family around your core values and your spouse's values, right? So if you do not believe in stuff on the LGBTQ side, there's nothing wrong with that. That's you choosing how you want to raise your family, and nobody can fault you for that. And equally, somebody that does is supportive and believes in that, they can raise their family that way, and I don't think they should be faulted for that either. So that's not so much as like an authority type of insight, so much as it is a preference of how do I want to raise my family? What kind of people do I want to raise? You know,
Yeah, and I kind of hear you,
yeah.
but I also know that people may have certain beliefs, but be scared to death of getting canceled and ostracized, so they shut up, which allows this what they don't believe to proliferate.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, so yeah, I mean, what we're
Well, so
getting,
if somebody put a question, I mean, can people ask questions to you on the Substack thing?
of course, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if they said, "Hey, there's a drag show coming up at the local army base. Should I take my 4-year-old to it?" What are you going to say?
I would definitely have a talk with the other co-founders, and
Pass the
we
buck,
would
right?
kind of
Yeah,
decide on that together.
yeah.
Because it's a sensitive question,
Well,
and
exactly. And
you know,
I'm not. And again, I'm not taking any side. I'm just
yeah.
saying these are the things that I'm seeing out there. I'm seeing parents getting arrested by the FBI for complaining about stuff at school board meetings, and I'm seeing kids being exposed to what used to be adult content. We're
Mhm,
18 plus years old, and they're so it's kind of a shock to me too, even though I don't have kids. It's like, oh
mhm.
my God, how's this stuff happening?
Yeah, yeah, no, I hear your concern, and I think that it's a tough thing because people are very
Parenting is tough.
strong-armed and opinionated around this subject.
That's what I mean. And so some a lot smaller group of people make a lot of noise and
Hmm, hmm.
scare the other people to shut up. so
Yeah, I
that's
think it's about finding common ground and finding where those lines are, because this is a fairly, new thing that's happened, and you know, it's a sensitive subject, and people are very strongly opinionated about it, and I think that as a nation we need to not be divided but come together, find the middle ground, which is comfortable for both sides, for families that want to be raised in a certain way, and then deciding what is morally and ethically okay and what is not. And I don't think that that's been fully flushed out yet, which is why there are police involved and there are some very bad things going on. And this hasn't been flushed out yet. It needs more time. And I think that things are going to be um, not so great for a while until this gets really hashed out.
yeah, it gets worse before it gets better. But I'm just saying, you're
And we want to
probably going
we
as
want.
you grow your all-star parent thing,
Mhm.
you're going to start getting a lot of this stuff. So
Yeah, I mean,
so
I think the best thing to do is, right, at the end of the day, there are going to be people that are going to feel strongly about it, and I don't think that they're going to go away. And I think, from a civil standpoint, we should be respectful and peaceful with each other, and just kind of respect our differences and put them aside. And I know that's easier said than done.
I was going to say, boy, yeah, that's a tough thing nowadays, isn't
Oh, it is.
it?
It's extremely hard. And I'm not trying to sugarcoat it and make it seem like that this is going to just go away, because it's not. And I think for the people that believe in it, I think that they should, it's like, it's the way I was brought up, right, Tom? Like, it was like horrible to me. It's like, don't force this on me. I hate this. Like, I knew from a
hmm
very young age, I wanted absolutely nothing to do with religion.
hmm
And it was forced on me for many years. And I wanted to do things that other things. I wanted to go fishing. I wanted to, do like outdoor stuff, and I could never do any of that. And I was very sheltered, and I look back and I was like, wow, my dad really robbed me of so many things that I wanted, like, and just like there's so many things, right? But at the end of the day, like, I can't go back and reclaim that time, or I can only I can be motivated and to do bigger things, like be a public speaker. I can run All Star Parent. I can keep publishing, to put a good path forward. And you know, I think that both sides are right, and I don't think that there is like a right and wrong, right? There's because right, and I'm that way too because I grew up and everything was black and white thinking, but we don't live in a black and white world.
Hmm.
World, so there can be things that are, and this is something that I learned about relationships because growing up, my idea of a relationship was like you're set up with somebody and that's it, right? And and
Well, yeah,
that explains my
Japan,
mom
you're
and
right.
dad. It's like terrible. It's just awful. Like married for the wrong reasons, and I see that, and I see what healthy relationships look like, and I just look at that, and I think that there is just, like I said, there can be things in relationships that they can coexist, right? There are things that in relationships that can coexist. So it's not just black and white. It's not just this is right, this is wrong. It's like those can both be true, you know?
Well,
And
as long, Avi, as
mhm.
there's a giant diamond involved, everything will be fine.
Yes, the diamond, and
Oh,
how many carats and all that stuff. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yes. Now, do you have kids?
I have one daughter, and
One daughter. How old
yeah,
is she?
she turned 12 last May 26. And yeah, she's an awesome kid. Really.
So you're going to be the dad with the shotgun at the door when the first kid comes to date her and stuff?
Oh boy, don't get me started.
Uh, you got that
So
and driving coming up in your future.
it's
I
just
like to live vicariously through people like you, so I don't have to go through it.
yeah, it's everybody's been telling me it's like, oh, just wait till she's a teenager. It's like, yep, I know it's coming. But no,
So does she have all the electronics and stuff, all the
oh
cell
my God. You
phones?
know what, Tom? She's got a better iPhone than me, and she's got a better phone plan than me. And and oh man, she was like, Dad, I need to have this. I need to have this. And you were joking before how you're twice my age, but you know what she calls me in her phone now?
What?
Old man.
The old man. Well, um, I couldn't believe this, Avi. I had one of my video guys
Yeah,
come over,
yeah.
and his daughter, he wanted his daughter to meet me,
Mhm.
see entrepreneur stuff and everything,
Yeah.
and really nice young lady, very bright, and she's sitting here, supposed to be talking to me,
Mhm.
and she is talking to me with full eye contact.
Mhm.
However, she is texting with her other hand her friend at the same exact time and not even looking at the cell phone. She's giving me full eye contact. This is some kind of aliens hit Earth. I
Wow,
don't know, how does
that's
this
like
work?
some newfound multitasking ability.
Exactly. Like you send the kid to their room and they say, awesome. I don't have to do dishes. I'll go in there with my 19 different uh, cell phones, tablets, Game Boys, or
Yeah.
whatever the heck they do.
Oh man,
So, well, you're doing a good thing in the world
thank you.
with the parenting stuff because it's always, like I said, worried me. I did that success thing
Mhm.
15 years ago,
Mhm. Mhm.
and people are still talking about it because, you know, and I had some millennial experts on my show here,
Mhm.
and I'm just not getting it because my in my generation and my thing is if you're not early, you're late.
Yeah.
You show up on time.
Mhm.
You respect the authority. and
Yeah.
so this girl's telling me. I said, people are there. You're not on time. What am I supposed to do? And she says, well, with our generation, time is fluid.
Mhm.
I'm thinking, okay, I have a store, and I put a sign on the door, open at 9 ish, or whenever they decide to show up. And she said, well, maybe you should get someone older to work there.
Oh man.
Yeah. So is your all-star parent broken down for different age groups of
It
parents
apply.
and children?
Yeah. So it's just for parents, guardians, or family members that want to learn more about parenting, right? So that's really who it applies to. But
But I'm wondering if you're going to expand it into age of the children, because
Yeah.
parenting a 2 to 6 year old is different than a 12 to 16 year old.
Oh yeah, no, for age groups, yeah, we're gradually expanding to cover like different age groups. Yeah, that's something that we do. I
And
thought you.
this is, yeah, I know the age of the parent. Well, I mean, that changes too, because my dad was 50 when he had me.
Mhm.
Guess what? That's a different thing than a 22-year-old or 19-year-old or
Yeah,
16-year-old, as a parent. So
that's an interesting concept. Yeah, different generations, different values. You know,
people are living longer too, and
yes,
they're taking more erection pills, so they're they're having babies.
that's right.
Uh, yeah, so I think you got a big market out there. They're living longer and everything.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. Tell them again how to reach the All-Star Parent.
Absolutely. So it's allstarparent.substack.com. We also have an Instagram. We've got a Facebook. We're on Twitter. Always pushing out new content, all about parenting. If you have any issues or problems and you don't have time, you're limited and strapped for time. All Star Parent has got the information and knowledge that you're looking for, and we'll get it to you quick. Um,
Yeah, yeah, and um, what was I going to say? The All-Star Parent is currently not a business, right? Because this is a business show. So
yeah.
you're going to expand it into a business after you
Yes.
get some
Yep.
foothold, right?
Yeah, we're
Mhm.
expanding it once we reach, a certain amount of subscribers. We're going to offer more valuable paid products
Mm-hmm.
to subscribers as an option. So that's something that's coming. We're still growing, and but for where we're at, having not been around that long, we're covering a lot of ground. Always open to feedback and suggestions. Feel free to reach out and tell us what you want to hear from us, and we are happy to curate content around what our subscribers are looking for.
Beautiful. So, folks, this has been Avi Wolfson, that's doing a great service in the world, helping parents, because the children are going to take over and and either do us in or do good for us. So I got to run. I have to perform at a drag show. So, so thanks so much for coming on, Avi.
Thank you for having me, Tom. It was great.
Okie doke, folks. We'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.